Bradley and I were just having an interesting conversation about the raise that Disney employees just got, and the housing crisis in Central Florida, and the economic system, and the government, and our
What about it, babe?
our limited understanding of all of those. We were just like having a heated discussion about
Heated?
yeah, it was a little heated there for a second about the raise that Disney employees just got and whether or not they deserve it and that it should have happened. And we were just talking about, like, I honestly go back and forth on this a lot because I don't necessarily think that the jobs that we do at Disney, like the frontline employee jobs, the ride operator, the merchandise, the food and beverage, custodial, front desk, all those types of jobs that receive about the same pay. Previously, it was $15 an hour. I felt like that was a fair pay for those positions. I looked at jobs elsewhere in the hospitality market within other hotels and food and beverage locations, and that seemed comparable, if not significantly better than other locations. And yet when you go to Disney and you talk to people and they're all like, man, we deserve a raise, we work so hard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, what's your justification for that? A lot of employees will go straight to living expenses. Some will expand and be like, well, we get yelled at all day long by angry guests because when you deal with 60,000 guests a day in one park, you're bound to have a lot of angry guests. It just happens. And so I'm like, okay, I get that. Also, just the sheer volume of work that we do in an 8-hour period. Okay, I get that. The safety that a lot of cast members have, safety responsibility within attractions. Okay, I get that. All of those are good reasons to be paid a fair wage. I still think 15 plus ish dollars an hour was worth that. But here's the deal. Living expenses in Orlando have skyrocketed, as did many places during the pandemic. Orlando's rent went up 30+% during those 2 years. Bradley and I, when we were living in Ocoee, we got our lease renewal amount and it had gone up 30%. And it blew our minds. We're like, why do you think you deserve an extra 30% for giving us no extra value? So we moved. Ended up paying a lot more, but we moved. Sorry. We got a lot more for our money, so yes. What is that noise?
It's
It's
a bird.
a bird. It's dark outside. Anyway, so we were talking a lot about that and just how the living expenses of the area are so high. And Bradley asked me, he's like, well, what would you do? I was like, well, me and my non-trained, uneducated view of the economy and government and business would not necessarily offer a raise, but try to talk to government officials in the area and see how we could work together. Like if I were the CEO of Disney and I knew that the largest portion and income, oh, it's Liz. Oh, it's still recording. Sorry, Liz called me. I should respond. Anyway, that the largest income portion of my company was struggling financially to live and make rent, and they were having to share living units. Some people were sleeping in their cars, people couldn't afford food, and just the necessities of life for themselves and their families. What would I do? Would I care? How would I go about it? And so I said I would talk to government officials in the area and see what we could do to work together, because it's not just the employees of Disney, it's the employees of all the surrounding hotels, of all the surrounding food and beverage locations, of all the other theme parks in the area, of all the little businesses here and there, the shops, the kiosks, the everything. And they're all struggling. All these employees are struggling. We're not making enough in order to live a healthy life. And how can we combat that? Like, what can we do together? Is it clearly the cost of living in this area is skyrocketed? Well, why? Is it because a bunch of companies purchased a bunch of houses as rentals and they paid cash, and so people couldn't afford houses, and that's what helped spike the housing crisis in the area? Is it because interest rates are going up high and we're in a recession, and like, what can we do? So I don't know. This has been a long rant about the economics of Central Florida that I don't fully understand, but I wish that the people at the top of these major companies would try harder to help their employees, namely Disney and Universal, and not just try to slap a Band-Aid on it. Also, we fought really hard for that raise, so that was dumb. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the matter, and and today was day 2 of my new job, and I had a lot of fun, and I am making friends, and we ate ice cream, and yeah. So overall, it was a good day and a fun, interesting conversation to end the night. So good night.